Go.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Two Crazy Guys, One Crazy World podcast, a podcast that brings you, the uninitiated baby boomer, Gen X and Y's out there, the daily updates on the crypto markets, as well as the crypto news of the day. So sit back and join us, Stacy and Chris, for your crazy daily crypto update.
Hey, Crikey.
Hey, mate.
I didn't think you were
Yeah,
going
I
to get
know.
through
I
that.
was struggling to get through that then. For whatever reason, the concrete that's normally cleared from my throat by this time of day was saying, let's have another go.
Is that because it's still zero up there? Oh, down
No,
there?
it's
Down there?
not actually. It's not. Ladies and gentlemen, the world has shifted. Poor Stacy sitting up there in a t-shirt, must be in an air-conditioned house, because his temperature right now is actually below mine.
I know. That's just insane. So if
Yeah,
I
I
bring
think our thermometer's broken, dude, because if I walk out the back now,
it.
to my dusters, they've gone so fast that I won't be able to find them for an hour.
Well, we supposedly had a low of 4 degrees, but it's now 8.4, but only feels like 5. So I'd say our breeze out there, though when I look out the window, I can't really see much in the way of breeze. It's pretty still out there, but it's still saying it only feels like 5. But
Yeah.
so I'll be happy
I
to
think,
stay inside my
oh, here you
insulated
go.
house.
Mount Giannini, which is not far. Ours is 8.5, feels like 3. But at
Oh,
Mount
you've dropped.
Giannini, Mount Giannini, which is not very far from me, it's currently minus 0.1 and feels like minus 8. Right? So that's the wind that's coming in. That wind at
Yeah,
minus 8 is the wind that is hitting here.
yeah, no,
Right? That's what I mean. If I walk
not
outside,
pleasant.
dead set, I won't find my dusters for an hour.
Not not
The only
pleasant
reason
at
I'll
all.
find them is if I sit in the heater.
Isn't that funny? Just that time, like when we just first hooked on,
Mm.
like we were quite a bit warmer than you, but now
It's
your
freezing.
feels like temperature's already because you were higher than that. Your feels like temperature
Yeah,
was
yeah.
yeah much higher
It's
than that.
10. Our feels like it was, yeah, 5
It's
or
actually
something
gotten
above that.
colder in the time we've been talking.
It always does. When the sun comes up in Canberra, it gets colder.
Yeah,
Don't ask me. It
that's
just does.
just
But then about 10 o'clock, it'll start to warm up.
crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff.
We won't need jackets and beanies and gloves by midday today.
You might.
No, no, we won't. After midday, we won't need jackets, beanies, or gloves.
Dear, dear, that's funny.
So, how the markets today, buddy?
Well, I just have a quick look, shall
Right.
we? And look, it's a little bit red,
Yeah.
but yeah, look, a bit of a pullback, I suppose, from a couple of days of gains. And so Bitcoin's, mind you, Bitcoin's still holding at 10.7,
Yeah, it
and
really hasn't done much in the last 24 hours.
no, going up and down a little bit, but still holding ground, still holding at 10.7, only down 0.3 for the day. We're still behind 6% for the week, but that's right. And Ethereum's still struggling to get over the 200 US dollar mark, still down 1%. XRP
Yeah, there was
is
an announcement yesterday on the Ethereum blockchain being almost full.
it's always full. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Yeah.
No, no,
Oh, I know.
Ethereum's had it's had performance problems for ages. Do
Yeah.
you remember crypto kitties?
No.
Okay, so it might have been in 2017 when the big boom started.
Yeah.
The people developed this game called Crypto Kitties,
Yeah.
and it was basically developing or creating kitties, digital kitties out of the. They had a base set of kittens that they developed, and then people mixed and matched and created new ones, and like it was stupid. People were paying over $100,000 for some of these kitties, right? And it literally brought the Ethereum blockchain to a screaming halt, and it really exposed the scalability issues that the Ethereum blockchain had,
Yeah.
and they've been working on that ever since, and they're working on some different technologies and second layer technologies to improve its scalability. But Ethereum is nearly always at 100% capacity,
Yeah. Yeah.
so it's definitely been one of its weaknesses, shall we say. While
Yep.
its smart contract capabilities is very clever and very good and great for business, its capacity has definitely been its weakness.
Yeah.
And so they're working on Ethereum 2.0 at the moment.
Yeah.
Hoping to have that out at the end of this year, and they're touting a lot of its benefits. So we'll see whether that comes to fruition or not.
Yeah. All right. So go through the top 10, buddy.
So we got to XRP. So it's sitting 27 cents, down 1.4. Bitcoin Cash is sitting at $314, down 1.8%. Litecoin's sitting dead on $75. Look at that, but it's still down 1%. Binance Coin, $28, down 1.4. EOS sitting at 366, down 0.3%, hardly moving. Jumping over Tether, we get to Bitcoin SV, sitting at $140, down another 2.8%. And Cardano still holding in the top 10, sitting just below 5 cents, which it pretty much was yesterday, down 1.2%.
There you go.
So mostly red for most of the coins in the top 10. Well, in fact, apart from Bitcoin and Tether, they're all in the red.
Well, if you have a look at the chart, all of them except Tether are in the red for the last 7 days.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So we've had a bit of a correction. If we have a look at the old Bitcoin chart,
a bit different yesterday. A lot of red candle there today.
So, well, this is the 1 hour chart. If I up that one to say a day, we can see. Oh, pardon me. Pardon me. Sorry about that. That snuck up on me. So we we're having a little bit of an up. The prices were rising, and then we're just having a bit of a correction, but that's okay. I'm not too worried about that at this point. It's just good buying opportunities. So, but anyway, that's the pricing action for the moment.
Cool.
So I thought we'd start into the crazy news then.
Yeah, absolutely.
And as I like to be Mr. Doom and Gloom on the economy.
Oh, really? I had not noticed that, ladies and gentlemen. I had not noticed that. I mean, dead set, if you just got on this and you only listened to Stacy's crazy news of the day, the people who are getting rich, what are they called? The therapists. Because we would be going straight from here to we're doomed.
Yeah, look, as much as, and look, I'm generally an optimistic guy, right? But when you hit with so many facts, it's really hard to ignore, right?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, most of the mainstream media just aren't telling us the real stories. So someone's got to do it. I think, well, why not be me? And but look, here's an article. Well, it's not just me. I'm just showing a lot of the articles that we're finding. And this is the thing. There is so much out there where people are pointing to key indicators and factors that are telling us what's coming. So this one is
okay. But one thing we've never explored: what are the alternate articles out there? Are there any alternate articles out there?
Yeah, there are.
Saying these are wrong.
Yep, and I've looked at a couple of them. And here's the thing. The ones that I've read, they've come from generally people who have a vested interest in making you feel good about things. Right? Now, the classic example of that's real estate. Right? And when you look at the people that are saying, oh, the real estate's turning around, the prices are going to rise, blah, 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 you look at who they are, they're from the real estate sector, or they rely on property in some way, shape or form. And so they naturally have that bias towards good news for property, right? And same with the finance sector. If you listen to people saying, oh no, the economy's going to go great, it's either like the President of the United States, who's very much a vested interest in everyone feeling good about things, or people in the finance sector that want you to believe that everything's all hunky-dory. Right. And this is where it's really important for people to disseminate the information that's coming out and look very closely at, who's giving the message. Right. And so for you and I, we don't have any vested interest.
No, that's very true. Nothing to vest. Because we don't have enough Patreon subscribers yet. So come on, ladies and gentlemen, get in there and get up the best.
That's right. We want to do all the vesting we can.
That's right.
So anyway, here's 11 reasons that Tyler Durden, and he
Oh God, here
writes a
we
lot
go.
of
We're
this.
going to get seasick
Good on
again.
Tyler. Sorry, I had to go up and see who it was. So
Yeah.
our 11 reasons. Number one, last week the spread between the US 2-year and 10-year yields turned negative for the very first time in 12
Yep.
years. So
Yep.
there is a bit of a talk around the inversion of this yield curve, which when you go back in history, it's occurred every time prior to a US recession since the 1950s. So
Yeah, but
you
that's like
could,
the transport. You remember the story from yesterday, the transport? The
yeah. So that's actually one of the
transport
reasons
sector.
here.
Yeah, the
Um,
transport sector has returned to negative growth for two or
yep,
three quarters
absolutely,
in a row, which
absolutely.
has never happened without a recession.
No, correct. And number two, the US consumer sentiment just fell to its lowest level that we've seen since in all of 2019.
Yeah,
Number three, 74% of the economists surveyed by the National Association for Business Economics believe that a recession will begin by the end
yeah,
of 2021. The industrial production has just slipped back into contraction territory. Manufacturing Purchasing Managers Index has fell to its lowest level that we've seen since September 2009. So that's back to GFC time. Just like we saw in 2008, the fear and volatility have returned to Wall Street in a major way.
yeah,
So far this month, we've already seen the fourth and seventh largest single point declines in the US stock market history.
yeah.
The number of bankruptcy filings in the US has been steadily shooting up, and it rose another 5% during July. US retailers continue to shut down more stores, and we've continued to stay on pace with that would break the all-time record for store closings in a single year. So that's
Yeah.
not looking good. The freight shipment we just talked about, it's now fallen for 8 months in a row now. Number 10, according to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, the probability the recession will happen within the next 12 months is now the highest that it has been since the last financial crisis.
Yeah.
And rounding out number 11, President Trump is suggesting that the Federal Reserve should cut interest rates by 100 basis points and that the Fed should restart quantitative easing as soon as possible. Both of these moves would be considered to be emergency measures that should only happen if a major economic downturn was imminent.
Yeah.
So there you go. There's more reasons that we need to be mindful, and I'm not saying everyone should rush into a panic, but I think it would be very prudent to look at your current financial situation and ask yourself, if we did go into a major global economic crisis, would you be protected and would you get through it?
Yep.
And if not, what have you got to do to protect yourself? So after that,
I am quite glad that you've got a property up there and my camper trailer can fit.
that's right. Yeah, absolutely, plenty of room, dude. Just park it up there. In fact, we can fit a few camper trailers in there.
Excuse me, don't give away my backyard.
Oh, sorry.
All right, here's one for you, ladies and gentlemen. The exchange makes it easier to purchase crypto using fiat for the first time. Apparently, in the United States or the US of A, there's now a Bitmart that you can use cash or your credit cards to actually buy Bitcoin. Therefore, unlike a lot of exchanges where you have to have coins to buy coins, these guys are going to allow you to do it using normal money or fake money when it comes to visas and stuff. And they're linked already to 2,500 banking institutions across the United States. Well, I'm not sure why this is breaking news over there or why this is headline.
Yeah,
Here in Australia, we've had a mob call. We've had a couple of mobs. There's
yeah.
Independent, what is it? Independent Reserve. There's coinspot.com.au.
Coin
That
jar.
CoinJar, you've been able to do that with all of them for some time. In fact, that's where most of my buying went. It's true, they have been pretty limited in the coins that they've been offering,
Yeah,
but they're expanding that all the time.
they
But
are.
you've definitely been able to buy Bitcoin in the top 10 or top 20 using cash.
Hmm.
And they're linked to the banks and they're linked to the Australia Post. So you can actually use a thing called Polypay in this instant.
That's right. Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
it's
pretty lucky in
amazing.
Australia. We have a number of on-ramp options to purchase
Yeah.
cryptos, so we're not doing too bad. I think
Well, it's a
I think
great idea. I think it's a great
oh
idea because
yeah.
it simplifies people being able to buy cryptocurrency, but I'm not quite sure why it took so long for America, considering that most of the trading happens there.
Yeah, look, and I think part of the issue in America is their regulations, right? And people
Yeah,
are not very keen to step into that space because of the regulatory issues that are there, and the fact that they've never still really not clear around, well, which regulator is actually in control of this space, because they're all fighting over it still, and doing anything in the financial sector is pretty much a nightmare. So I think that has prevented a lot of people from going down that road. But I think the interesting thing about this also is the fact that the headline itself, making it easier to purchase, is the key thing, and I think that's has kept a lot of people out of the space, and it's been very technical up until now, and it has been a difficult on ramp for a lot of people. So I think it's really important that the industry start making a move towards making things easier. And look, there's been a lot of talk about that, and a lot of projects have talked about the user experience and how to improve that. So I think that's coming. And as the market matures, I think there'll be a lot more of these sort of stories coming out where new apps and new on-ramps will be coming online that'll make things much, much easier. So
that's cool.
Yeah, so in the exchange space, remember yesterday we talked about Binance announcing a project called Venus.
Yep.
So as we said, we'd have a look at it and see what it's about, but there really isn't much to talk about. Literally, this is on the Binance their news page, and it just says here that it announced its plans to initiate an open blockchain project, Venus, an initiative to develop localized stablecoins and digital assets pegged to fiat currencies across the globe. Right, so Binance certainly, I mean, these guys are making $1 billion a year, right? So if anyone's got the resources to pull this one off, it's certainly Binance, and they already have a global reach with their exchange services, and I'm
not quite sure they've got the power to take on Facebook.
Look, if anyone does, it's Binance, right? And the reason I say that is because they're already making a move, like they've already created a decentralized exchange, right?
Yep.
So while they've got Binance, their centralized offering, which has some of the best liquidity in the world, they have also, he can see Binance as a whole, as a group, have made a move towards a decentralized ecosystem, and they can see the benefit of that. And so they've already made the inroads with the exchange offering, right? And because they are deeply entrenched in the industry, they've got some very smart people on board. I think if anyone's got the ability to do it, I actually think Binance will come to the market first. And the other key reason for that is because they're not based in the US and they're not under the US thumb, which is Facebook's real issue. So
cool. Okay.
And it does say, sorry, before we just go on, Binance does welcome additional government partners, companies and organisations with a strong interest and influence in a global scale to collaborate with us to build a new open alliance and sustainable community. We encourage like-minded people, blah, blah, blah. So
I like we encourage like-minded people and organisations. So if we contacted them and said, hey, we're in, will they let us in?
Okay, who are you? What do you want?
You haven't heard of the ticket. You obviously subscribe to. You're missing out.
Come on, CZ. Come on. Two crazy guys. Well, you can talk to us about Binance.
That's right.
CZ is the CEO of Binance, by the way, in case people are wondering what they're on. All right. So next one. Max Keiser, and I love Max Keiser. If anyone wants to watch a really interesting show, he's on RT channels, and but Max Keiser is a well-known Bitcoin maximalist, shall we say, and he does crazy things like go around to seminars and events and rips up dollar bills because and not just dollar bills, $50 bills, right? He just rips them up because he says these are worthless. Don't even bother with them, right? He's great. I love him.
So, are you allowed to pick up the pieces and use sticky tape?
Yeah, he would let you do whatever he wants because he's not interested, right? But he's been in the game since 2013 or earlier, I think. So He's been there the whole way. But it's interesting that and we spoke about this only a week or so ago, that Bitcoin, the hash rate for Bitcoin hit an all-time high, and now it's done it again. So it's going from strength to strength. And for those that didn't hear the last week's chat about this, the hash rate just simply talks about the amount of computing power that goes into looking after the blockchain for Bitcoin. So the network that looks after Bitcoin. So the fact that there are so many computers looking after the network makes it more stable and more secure, and that's the big thing. And I think one of the comments he makes here was around where was it? I thought I read it. That it doesn't matter. It was basically he was basically saying what I just said, that it's really important for Bitcoin's network to have a really high hash rate because it does make it secure. But that security would also bring in more players into the space because of that security that is being underpinned by that hash rate or the number of computers. Would make investors feel more secure about putting money into Bitcoin. Yeah. So, but interestingly, that the fundamentals behind that, Max actually argues that the price of Bitcoin will follow. And he says that the higher the Bitcoin hash rate, the more secure the network. Oh, that's probably what I was talking about. The higher the investor confidence will be, driving up demand, and therefore Keiser argues that price is playing catch up with network fundamentals. So by the pure fact that the hash rate and the amount of computing power that's going into Bitcoin will increase investor confidence, and thus the price will follow. So I thought that was interesting and makes sense. It makes perfect sense to me.
Absolutely, that makes sense to me. Actually, that's really unusual.
It is. Another little warning tale. Another crypto exchange is shutting down in September, and this one's a Malta-based crypto, but started up by the South Korean company Coin1. And it posted a termination notice last week saying that it will terminate all of its services.
So people need to move their coins out of their wallets held there.
Well, look, and this is the interesting thing. This one, just reading that 2 months earlier, the exchange abruptly suspended trading activities. And while that occurrence isn't entirely new, eyebrows were raised when it recommended that users should withdraw their holdings to avoid any potential losses. So this is actually a really good case of an exchange shutting down, where they have enabled people to get their coins off an exchange. Now, quite often that does not happen, and the first thing you know is that, I can't access my funds.
Look at this. I like that last sentence. The exchange records will also be destroyed, although some will be retained due to legal requirements. So that'll only be the legal requirements in Malta.
Correct.
So wow. So they won't even have a record of what you used to have.
Nope. Nope.
Wow, you really want to watch it. That's actually a pretty good argument for a hardware wallet.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Speaking of hardware wallets, buy one of these, people. Oh, hang on.
There you go. That's it. Hold it there.
Keep Key. I'll put a link to Keep Key in the show notes.
Which one is it?
So this is Keep Key.
That's right. Yeah. You sent me that link.
Little hardware wallet. I did. You haven't done anything with it, obviously. So people, you should not keep your coins on an exchange unless you're actively trading, and and otherwise buy your coins and get them off the exchanges and put them on to a Keep Key, as they say, because when the coins are on an exchange and you don't have the private keys for your wallets, that means you don't control them. So as they say, you don't have the private keys, they're not your coins. So get them onto a hardware wallet, and that way you have control. All right. This one, I got to talk about this one because this was pretty cool. Came across this the other day, and these guys have, and it's two brothers, I believe, has developed this, and it's a cartoon called Bitcoin and Friends, right? And they've already developed 2 episodes. But I'm going to, you're hopeless. But I'm going to play you the little trailer. Now, be warned, I don't think there's anything bad in the clip, but this isn't a kid-friendly show. It's sort of think South Park.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Two Crazy Guys in One Crazy Crypto World. We gave you a warning about language and all of that stuff before. It still stands.
Yeah, that's right. I don't think there's anything bad in the clip. I can't remember. Anyway, have a look at this.
Hello? Who are you?
I will always be with you.
I'm impressed.
Where am I? Where am I?
New Jersey,
Where's New Jersey?
United States, man.
Where's the United States?
Earth, motherfucker.
Where's the Earth?
Yes, there was some bad language.
You all right?
Yeah.
Buckle up.
Come on, show me what this ice cream truck can do.
This appears to be some sort of peer-to-peer electronic cash network.
Peer what?
It works as an immutable, decentralized public ledger forged in immutable and incorruptible code.
Listen, I need you to explain this to me and break it down like I was straight up retarded.
We just need to follow the coin.
Mr. Finney, is this your son?
The chosen one.
When people just won't stop fucking with you, you gotta use a little physical force. Hey, you gonna have to excuse B. He's hella confused about everything.
His name isn't B. His name is Bitcoin.
So that's there you have it. It's,
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be the end of today's show today. Because otherwise, we're going to sit here and watch much of it. But get on to Bitcoin and Friends and have a look at episode 1. You never know. Maybe it'll give you a little bit of info about what you
so
can
there's
do.
you can actually go to the
Talk
website.
to it.
btcandfriends.com is the actual website, or you can just search for it on YouTube.
Or even better still, become a subscriber, log into Patreon and click the link in the show notes.
Absolutely,
Right?
you could do that too.
Yeah, well, I cannot see any reason why not. Well, that's it from us, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the crazy crypto world. And remember, if you would like to get more access to the other information that we share out there and the special videos that we create, log into Patreon and become a silver or gold subscriber. Not only will you get that information, but we will send you one of these. Not a real one, it's a token. But you know, like I said yesterday, get it. It's bling.
I know.
Who doesn't like bling?
Bitcoin bling, mate. We've got to start that.
Yeah, everyone likes bling. Right? Bitcoin bling. It could be the BB.
BB.
BB. They don't sell a BB gun. That's only in America. They're illegal here in Australia. Right?
Apparently.
So until tomorrow, everyone have a great day. This is Two Crazy Guys in One Crazy Crypto World. So catch you tomorrow.
All right, have a crazy all day, folks. See you later.